We are back with Truth and Oneness discussion with Scorpio and Aquarius. We are welcoming ourselves into the new year, and we've been traveling around a lot. That's why we've been kind of like absent. But we did have a lot of different things we've been wanting to talk about and revisit and whatnot. And one of those things in particular is like things like spirituality, like Nithyananda and whatnot. Uh, so a lot of times people are trying to find their way of finding truth, and sometimes they need perspective or like a helping hand. So some of these programs and stuff like that are a good way to begin, and sometimes it's just like a stepping stone, and sometimes it kind of holds people back. Um, just don't get too caught up into some of them. It's like sometimes it's just like kind of like a gateway, but always be looking for more, and don't think one thing is the only thing.
Yeah, I guess, let's see, because we did a video before, pretty much I did a video before about it, but I did want to revisit it because, I guess it's interesting how the evolution goes, of the learning and knowledge, I guess, I don't
Yeah.
know. But, let's see, I guess, like you were saying, like if you, especially with the this particular program, um, because I think I want to like go kind of more through like my actual like experiences with it and kind of
Yeah,
like
go
where I'm
for it.
at right now because I think that's kind of important. I guess I don't know for other people that might be looking and trying to find. So yeah, when you're looking and trying to find something and you realize that you're just trying to find yourself, really, when it comes down to it, and realize that you are the thing.
The it you're looking
You're looking
for.
for the it. Let's see. So maybe I should back up and start just like, because I know I told part of the story back already in another video, but we'll go back to it a little bit. So what drew me to Hinduism in general? Not really sure. Nithyananda and that whole program was kind of my first real introduction to Hinduism and like the Vedic system. And I don't know, it was something about the hymns, like the sound of the Vedic language that really like
Spoke to you?
spoke to me on a different level.
Yes.
It's almost like the language, like when I went over there to the first program, it's almost like the chanting, like you almost like you feel like you should understand the language, but you don't because it's not like your native or language in this life, But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that really like drew me over to it. And also, of course, the spiritual practices. I was looking for like the truth, right? Like a lot of people that go over there. But so yeah. Did you want to say something real quick? You were gonna say something.
I just wanted to talk about from where you came, like reboot this whole thing, like talk about your journey, like we were just saying already. It's like you were looking for something, and these different sounds, these tones, kind of like were sparking something inside you, were kind of like drawing you in. You're like, whoa, something about these sounds, these tones, these frequencies that they're putting out really really is coming through to me, and I'm trying to figure out like what it's all about, which is good because a lot of people like they'll see something that kind of like, oh, there's something to this, I need to look into it, but they never actually take that step. You took that step, and then you start going in that direction. So what happened next?
Okay, so I went over there. I went to Inner Awakening. I have to say, so it was Sarah Landry's video, and a lot of people say this that actually got me into like looking into this more. But she shouldn't kick herself for this because like this whole experience like I benefited from it. But so I went to Inner Awakening, and yeah, it was interesting because the whole like I said, it's the first time I really was into like got delved really deep into like the Vedic system and like the yogi how to I guess practice the yogic lifestyle, how to eat and like the puja and all that and like they call it the panchakriya. I think they've changed the name for that recently, but the cleanses of the body and like how to keep the body up to snap, all that kind of stuff. And then of course there's the whole side of it where everyone like almost like was head over heels for Nithyananda or Swamiji. Which, so here's my perspective. I think that's also what I wanted to mention too. It's like that part was always weird to me a little bit. And going over there, it was just kind of, I kind of just like, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here and be like almost like an observer, but make sure I'm learning the things I guess I must have felt like I needed to learn, like the history behind it and like these different practices and whatnot. But, so I wasn't like overly anything about it. I just kind of like sat back and watched and was like aware of people, like the people that were like super against, like in the program that I was in, when I was in Inner Awakening, the program, like my classmates and stuff. So there was the people that were like super against it and just like hardcore, like what the F is this? This is like so like this is like a brainwashing program. Like this is ridiculous. I'm like, okay, yes. And then like there were the people that were just like completely head over heels, like I'm like, what is wrong with you? Sort of. But and I think I guess I don't want to say I was on the fence. I was more like just kind of just seeing where the experience took me. I guess I don't know. And completely 100% devoting myself to someone didn't really ever feel comfortable to me. But at the same time, I didn't really like completely like say, oh, this is ridiculous. Obviously, this guy's a fraud. I just kind of like went around and kind of just went along with it and kind of just see how where, like I said, where it would take me. So, what else happened? So yeah, that was a really interesting experience, though. And like I said, I did learn a lot about getting from that. Especially the routines that they had there. You had to get up early and do yoga and all that stuff. That for me, like I feel like it really jumped me out, or I guess shook me out of like what do you call it? This programming. I have to say it. I'm not really a lazy person, but I was very much attached to like needing to have a certain amount of sleep every day, and if I didn't have like that perfect amount, then I'd be like, oh my gosh, I lost sleep. But like after that, it took maybe a few months or so to like really sink in, but I don't experience that anymore. Like I obviously need sleep, but it's not like I need this. I don't let sleep or the lack of sleep like run my life. And then of course the other big thing that I got from the program was, I feel like I'm just rambling. Am I like making sense here?
Yeah.
Okay. The other big thing I got from the program was like the amount of money to go to the program is a lot of money to put down at once, but at the same time, and then other people, I know people are saying, well, a scam. If you got scammed, this is a fraud. They stole your money. This is a cult and all that stuff. I'm not really here to have that discussion necessarily, but I do want to point out, or not point out, but I don't know. It was like something shifted in me. I don't know. Like
about the perspective of money.
About the perspective of money. I'm sure it could have been done a different way, and I know all the stuff I learned over there and through this program, I'm sure I could have learned it some other way, and maybe through another program, I don't know. But the way it was learned obviously was very unique to this experience, and I think even maybe the amount of stuff I learned. But yeah, so yeah, my perspective on money changed a lot. It was almost like I didn't really grow up, well, poor-ish. The poverty mentality, I had that a lot. But that like shifted, like changed overnight pretty much. And everything in my life started to change after that. So, and then of course there was the, actually seeing. I know a lot of people are not really into it because that was like the powers, like showing people that you can use manifest powers and like use your third eye to move things and do remote viewing and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people are like, well, what's the use of that? They just teach people these like tricks and whatever, or try to do that or whatever, and like this isn't useful for people. I think that is actually extremely useful for me, because I had some experience with these things before, but for me, seeing it with my own eyes, like actually doing it over and over again, like moving things with my third eye and all that kind of stuff, and remote vision and all that, it takes your consciousness to a different level. it takes you from a place of thinking that you are just this and you only have these capabilities to like,
What else can I do?
yeah, yeah, and I think that's the benefit of that. Like it pushes you that over that hump, I guess, to like this is what my this being is capable of doing. That's what you get from it if you. Well, then we have a whole nother thing to talk about here, but but when you realize that you are the one with these capabilities. I know that there they say you're using Nithyananda, you're using Swamiji to do these things. Like he's using his power into you to do these things, and to some extent, I think that might have been what was happening. But it doesn't discount the fact that these abilities are in you, you know.
Yeah.
And I think just being able to see that clearly really it just changes your whole perspective on life. You move up, you expand, your consciousness expands, you know, to a level that it just wasn't at before, I guess. All right, so there's those things, and then what else am I thinking here? Do you want to mention a couple of things? Or do you have anything to add to it? Because I have other stuff I want to say, okay?
I'll go for it.
Okay, no, what? I need to get my thoughts together. I should have taken notes.
It is pretty interesting. It is correct about like having people like kind of break through if they actually take the experience and like look at it for what it really is. Because even on the idea, it's like you're getting the power from somebody else to do something, but then the thing is like what you have to realize also, it's like sometimes like you're like for anyone to experience something new, they're like I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, and you're like actually, you know what? This person's gonna help you out. They're gonna make this really easy for you. Like someone's gonna, like if you're playing baseball and you're like I can't hit the ball, and they're like, oh that pitcher's really good over there. They're gonna throw it right perfectly. All you have to do is just swing. You're gonna hit it, no problem. And they will stop thinking about things so much and kind of just hit it. And then they're like, I did it. Oh, it's all because that pitcher made me have like an easy one to hit. And they're like, no, the pitcher had no idea. You just hit it yourself. And it's like sometimes people just need that where it's like, oh, Swamiji's using his power to help you. So they release that stress of like, well, I can't do this because I've never been able to do this, but they're like, oh, someone else is helping me,
Yeah.
and now I can do this. And then afterwards, it's like, actually did it all on your own. And if they continue to like say it was someone else, then that's kind of messed up. But overall, like it's usually kind of like one of those things where it's kind of help you break past your barriers because you're like in fear of you can't.
Yeah. And so these are obviously really good things about the program, or things that I found very beneficial about the program. All these things that I learned about it, and then am at the point that I am now because of that experience, as well as other experiences I had, But take all your experiences together, right? You can choose to be them however you want. You can benefit from them and learn from them, or not, right? But yeah, so those are really good things about it. And then, so whether this is a cult or not, I think I mentioned it a little bit in the last video, but it's like I still think that's an irrelevant discussion, to be honest with you. But I will say that any organization or religion where someone is in there telling you that you have to worship something outside yourself, or that worship them, or and obviously that's the wrong direction to go in, right? And I think which is interesting though, I don't know if I've ever specifically heard Swamiji himself say. I think more of his recent stuff, he definitely alludes to it, to say that, worship me. But I've never actually heard those words come out of his mouth. But definitely when you go to the program, it's almost like all the people that are really devoted, it's almost, that's what they do. It seems like they are worshiping him. And then like, of course, anytime you you give all your credit to everything that you do and that you are to someone outside of you, you basically become a slave, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what, I guess, the danger of going to something like that, any kind of religious organization or any kind of organization really, is that possibility of you starting to just feed all your self to someone else or that organization, right? And that's where the real damage is in, if you fall into that trap. I think it is a trap,
Yeah.
because then you can really just lose your sense of who you are. I know there's a whole oneness concept, but I just think that we're all individual consciousnesses, that we need to like acknowledge, I guess, and take responsibility, because they do say that you take, and everyone said, well, take responsibility for what you are and who you are, right? But the only way to do that is to actually take responsibility. So it's a little contradictory what they teach in a way, They say, but at the same time, I can see how something like that would be beneficial to people who really need help. Because who need help as in trying to really pull themselves out of this mental program of the earth plane, Some people, I think, just can't handle the responsibility. And then if you have someone that's saying, just give me all your responsibility, give puja to me every day and worship me, and I will basically, quote, take care of you. But then, of course, there's that, too. It's like, is he really taking care? I don't know. You know what I mean? I've definitely had some interesting experiences where I'm like, I can definitely, I don't know. It's just, the whole thing is quite interesting still, So like I said, I can definitely see the benefit to some people, or maybe even a lot of people, where they literally need someone to tell them what to do and how to do it, and strike fear into their souls if they don't do the right thing. I don't know. At least at a certain point in their life, until they wake up beyond that, and they realize that no, actually they just need their inner guidance, sort of, till they get to that point. And so that it's a hindrance and it can be seen as a hindrance and a benefit, the message that their organization puts out. And then of course there's the different programs that they were running or have run, and then there's the different experiences of the people who become Adinavasis or sannyasis that actually live there. And obviously, depending on, what your experiences are and what you decide you want your experiences to be, if you come out of that and you're like, wait a minute, I just did all this stuff for these people and I almost got nothing in return, or I was treated badly or whatever, then that's not going to go over well, right? And I think and that's another thing too. It's like, I feel like and that's another thing that's a little off about the whole, here's the thing. If you are going to be someone that says, and I don't know if you think you're channeling like a god or whatever, or whatnot, any sort of enlightened consciousness should not, like, if you're going to have people work for you, you should treat them well and compensate them well, and give them credit for their work, sort of.
Yeah.
And it doesn't appear that that's been done all along the way. So that obviously is a little strange. Sorry, we had to take a momentary break and let, anyway, no, not really, but, sorry, we have cats that we need to tend to for a second. But anyway, so, yeah, you just, yeah, interruption. All right, you have anything you want to add at all here?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep talking then.
Okay.
But I do need a break, so just put a few thoughts in here. What do you think so far, I guess?
Yeah, definitely there's some good things and some bad things. One of the things that caught my attention right away was like the amount of money it costs, and I was like, wait a second. So I did research on like what it took to kind of like feed people and like house people and everything like that, and then literally everything became about money. It did help you get past the idea of like money was something holding us back from stuff, which was good, but then I was just like, wait a second, it's like
you are kind of getting ripped off.
When you
really
definitely
think about it at the baseline, it's kind of like a rip off.
Because it's like, then I looked at how many people would go to these things, and I was like, it'd be like, okay, so if there's 10 people, they're making 6 figures. If there's 100 people, they're making them over $1 million easily. And if there's more than that, they're making way more than that. And I was looking at how much it would cost to Like even we went there and I was like talking with some of the locals. They're like, yeah, we can pretty much just survive an entire year on like easily like
You
maybe
went to there as an to India.
yeah. When I was in India also, like I asked the locals like how much it costs to live there, and they're like, yeah, it's probably like in the U.S. Maybe like $1,000 and you could live pretty good. I was like $1,000. I was like, so how could you live with $1,000,000? They're like, what? $1,000,000? Like $1,000,000 US? And I was like, yeah. They're like, you'd be like one of the richest people in all of India. I was like, I see. And then going through the compounds and stuff like that, I was seeing how everybody's like dirt poor except for like a select group of people who were like very wealthy. Like they lived and they worked
In which
inside
compound?
the Nithyananda compound, and they were like working in AC, wearing suits and driving cars, and the other ones that were like there were like living in little shacks and whatnot. I was like, oh, okay, so there's definitely some things going on here that I don't agree with, because I was like, shouldn't this? And then when the programs apparently are not going on, like everybody pretty much eats impoverished too, and like everyone like scrimps and whatnot for food. I'm like, wait, so where did all that money go? Like, didn't they just make like $2 million? Like, how come like there's only it's like the food doesn't cost that much, and housing them, it's like they have to pay for their own housing. Like, I was just like, where did all it go? And then, and like, there's like a depression around everyone too. Like, they're like, oh, here we go, we're poor again. I'm like, I didn't understand. I was like, okay, there's something up with this. And that's the thing that stuck, like, was wrong with me a lot. Because I was like, that much money, you can pretty much, like, I don't know, it's like, it's insane, like how much you can, like we were staying in a 5-star hotel at one point, and even that was like
When we did some exploring.
when we did some exploring after one of the programs, it was staying at one of the most expensive places that they had, and I was like, wow, this is still very 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 affordable. And then seeing how much like all this other stuff costs, I was like, this is absolutely absurd.
So money laundering, definitely some. And then yeah, people can. I know that from the other side, there's like the people that are still devoted, like a lot of the Dinivasis and Sannyasis and people that are really devoted say that this is part of the tapas. I think they're like just part of the experience of developing your you know sort of like your willpower and whatnot to live in conditions like that where you don't have everything posh and soft and whatever and get everything you want. And so it's a learning experience, and you learn a lot from it, spiritually and whatnot. There's a lot of spiritual growth and whatnot, and that might be the case for some people. It's the thing is I can't really say a whole lot about it. I can't really say at this point if it's right or wrong, because there's just so much that's interwoven into it. I just know that, like what you said, for you, it just didn't sit well. And for me, I could see, like, okay, how it's definitely, these people think that they're getting some benefit out of it, so it's useful for them, some of these people, but there's still something off about it,
Yeah.
So I can't really, I guess I can't really say much about it, but yeah, so yeah, that's really interesting too. That part of it is really interesting as well. So, okay, so what do we talk about so far? Because I do want to speak about, okay, yeah, and also another thing that is obvious, like when you're looking at, is this, someone or an organization that's truth, the good and truth and all that stuff. But even if you just look at their reaction to retaliation, quote unquote, for example, I'll just bring up Sarah Landry, but there's other people too that are kind of like speaking out about it. But like when that first came out, and I was like looking at both sides, it's like a back and forth thing. It's like, wait a minute, this organization, I can understand Sarah Landry. She's just telling her experience and her story, like what she went through going through this, and telling everyone to make sure everyone knows. I mean, I think it's good to just give people perspective, give people perspective if they decide they want to go that route, to see someone's side of the story. But they came back at her, or their organization came back at her, all kinds of, like, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, all kinds of like weird stories, and like, like, I could almost, I didn't, I obviously I didn't do a lot of research on the stories and whatnot, but you could tell they were made up. I mean, I felt like they were made up. It's like all of a sudden Sarah Landry, is like some sort of like child molester also, and like some that like this is just like weird stories. Oh, this is my experience with her. Like people just posting stuff on the Nithyananda page. I'm like, are you guys serious? It's like, oh my gosh, like if you, I feel like if you were coming from a place of like truth,
spirituality, like this shouldn't affect you, right?
it shouldn't, and you shouldn't have anything to say about someone telling their experience, you know.
Yeah.
But there was just so much like back and forth, like backlash, that was like, it made me really like, okay, what the heck, right? Just hang your head for them. You should not be like reacting like this, I would think, you know. If you were truly like a spiritually enlightened like warehouse think tank.
Above all that.
Yeah.
Literally, like how it would be is like when people have the idea of like what Jesus or whatever, like the idea is where it's like if someone says something bad about you, what you say about them is good. It's like because them not liking you or like trying to like drag you through the mud. If you're an enlightened person, like that, you're above all that. You're like, oh,
I mean, that's
I'm
you,
sorry that's how you
can't-
experienced that, but
yeah, you,
I still like you. I still love you. I still care for you. I think you're still an amazing person. Not like, wait, you said that about me? No, what
well,
about this
I'm gonna
about
say
you?
this about you.
Like that's
you know?
really childish.
It is really childish, and so that it just doesn't look good, you know, from a spiritual like organization. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that too, because I'm sure anyone who's been listening or following the whole thing, and even newcomers too, they probably already like seen all the back and forth stuff. But I just wanted to give my like idea on that, and like, yeah, that was obviously a little strange, but and obviously, like I said, I think that that's not. I mean, to dog somebody for telling people about their experience is like not. You shouldn't do that. Like, that's their experience. That's what their perception of everything was. That's what they have a story. They have something they want to say. You let people say what they want to say. You know.
Yeah.
And I think and also, I think, and also anyone else that just wants to just gets up and tells their experience, whether it's just good or bad, because there's the people that are still devotees that are hardcore devotees, and that's their experience, and that's what they believe, that this is the best thing that ever happened to them. So it's like, and that might change for them in the future, or it might stay the same. But you know, the danger. No, see, all right. So, you know, I guess so. It's good that Sarah Landry obviously came out and caused all this ruckus and whatnot, because, you know, I think it needed to happen in the way that it happened. You know, but for everyone involved, not because I'm not trying to point fingers at anyone and say, oh, they are this and that or whatever. I'm just saying that for just the uplifting of the consciousness of humanity in general, this was an important thing to happen, because one, it uncovers or starts to make people really look at the whole idea of like worshiping something that's outside of you, basically, or an idea or something or someone that's outside of you, and the idea of actually, was that it? Telling your truth, you know, regardless of what anyone is saying about you as a backlash, and so standing up to, quote, the authorities, you know, that kind of thing too. But yeah, and yeah, I think in one of her videos, that's what she makes the point of saying that, yeah, you shouldn't give all your power away to somebody, and that's really important, like, for people to hear right now, that kind of stuff. Her message there is very, very important for people to really sink into themselves, that you do not need to be being a slave, basically, because you're still a slave when you do that, whether you're happy doing it or not. You know. So it's very, like, very interesting. But, and then in the sense too, let's see, I feel like I want to add more to this before we end it, but kind of like, and then before I know, I was like, wow, it's just so weird that you can have a perspective on something. I think she was in the organization for like 8 years almost, and then like you totally have like a completely opposite perspective, like after getting out and having time to sit and really like mull over it and let it turn in your brain, you know, and then your perspective completely changes on it. But that's fine. Like when you have times to sit down and like really think about things, and you realize that wait, that's not quite right to me. You know, that's okay to change your. It's kind of like I'll use the analogy of going to medical school, for example, and you're really into learning all the medicine and blah blah blah. Even at least for me, like all the whole time it feels a little bit off. Something's off about the message they're giving or whatever. But you learn all the stuff and you even practice medicine for years or whatever, a few years, and then at some point you realize, wait a minute, this is all backwards. The Western allopathic medicine, is it allopathic? Did I use that right? The Western medicine society mentality is completely screwed up and backwards, and then it's okay to like start changing the way you do things to address that. Start to maybe change how you practice medicine and like tell people, actually you probably don't want to do that because this actually could be harmful, that kind of, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like that, yeah. Let's see, what else? So, oh yeah, so cult or not cult? I already said this, but I still
don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters. I really don't. And I really don't think it matters if because of the good things that one can get from an organization or going through that experience, I can't say that it's 100% like terrible and bad or anything either. You know what I mean? I still think that Swamiji himself is in some kind of an enlightened being, or his consciousness is more aware than a lot of people. But the thing is, that doesn't make him any different from anyone else. Everyone has that
spark.
Everyone has that ability to be, if you want to go with their lingo, be exactly what he says he is, the embodiment of God itself. Because all of us are God, sort of. We all are that, what do you call it, that creative, like, conscious creative energy. Just a lot of us aren't really aware of that. So whatever it takes in this life to get you to the point where it wakes you up enough to realize that is what you are, then you can do that. Go through that experience. Let's see. Any closing remarks? You have a couple of things you want to say?
No, kind of wraps it. That seems to pretty much wrap it all up with all the different pieces people need to kind of take in, because they definitely need to actually understand who you are and that we're all capable of many things. Look into what might break you free of whatever your social norms are and try to continue moving forward. Like, figure out who you are and like what you are, and not just like stay stagnant and stay stuck and just like hate your existence. Because that's another thing people are starting to realize more. They're like, why am I doing this? Is because before, people would be like, if you ask a lot of older people, they had no problem going to work for 30, 40 years at one place, collecting retirement, and then that was what they did. Now,
then dying afterward.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like, now people are like, they'll be working in jobs and they're like, oh, it's because they're lazy. That's why. It's like, no, they're working. They're like, why am I even doing this? Or they go to college and they get done and they're like, why did I even do that? It's like, yeah, I was told to do that because that's like was supposed to get me ahead. But now I'm like working at a job that I'm like, okay, what am I doing this for? Isn't there more to this? But those kind of questions weren't questions people really asked themselves before. They were just like, okay, I just need to do this because this is what we do.
They went along with the program.
Yeah, so it's like, definitely try to figure things out. It's like, and it might be scary to try to break free. Like, you're like, okay, I have a job. If I stop working, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. You're like, okay, well, is there anything else you could do to do these kinds of things? Is there any other place you can go that you don't have to pay bills for a temporary time? Or can you change things up somehow? Think about those things instead of just like doing what you do, because then you might get stuck and be depressed, and like, who knows, there's so many things that's holding you back. So look into the change.
Well, because the thing is, what's happening right now on a Earth level, I was like global level, no, on a whole Earth plane level, is consciousness is waking up. You know, humanity is we're getting to a point where we are asking so many questions, and it's hard to work a job 9 to 5, 6 or 7 days a week or whatever, and do the grind. It's hard, getting harder for people to do that because we are asking questions about why the f are we doing this, right? Why am I not doing what I want and enjoy? And you know what I mean? Why am I not enjoying my life? And so more people are asking these questions, and when we ask the questions, that opens up more space for like growth of the consciousness, you know, and we get answers when we let that space open up, and expand our reality and consciousness. But anyway, so yeah, we're breaking out as a whole. Humanity is starting to slowly pull down the mind program that I think we've been caught in for like many years. so, so yes, the change is here. I was like, the change is coming. No, the change is here, and just roll with it, right? But yeah, so I hope anyone who listened to this got something good out of it. Make love, not war. Hope everyone has a good day.
All right, everybody.